We are well into Women's Month with sharp focus now on gender equality and women economic empowerment. This week, President Jacob Zuma commended struggle stalwarts of the iconic 1956 march for opening up the leadership space for all women. And AU Commission chairperson Dr Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma called on young women to become drivers of transformation. Women's Month in South Africa pays homage to the women of our nation, the mothers, wives, sisters and daughters who fought tirelessly against the tyranny of the Apartheid government. But to date, many disparities continue to marginalize women from the greater participation of our economy. The severe underrepresentation of women in various economic sectors and in decision-making positions in the private sector demonstrate the urgent need for intervention to improve the status of women in our society. Well, Pindile Mooketsi is manager at Komati Plant and the author of Leadership Navigation. She joins us now on the SABC News Desk. Good afternoon, Pindile. Always such a pleasure to have you on the desk.
It's a pleasure to be invited by you, Keshni. Thank you.
Pindile, a push to have women participate more actively in our economy, but legislation and facilities still very much a challenge. Tell us why.
It is a challenge. I would say legislation allows it, and legislation is very much open to women empowerment. However, when you look at women and the manner in which South Africa runs the business, it renders the facilities a challenge so far. And when I talk facilities, I talk all resources that are available for women in the workplace. Number one being industries. You have industries that were run by male and male dominated. Male are accepting, the legislation is allowing, however the environment is still a male environment.
And not enabling enough and empowering enough. And one example I must bring to your attention is that we still have designated smoking areas in most of our corporates, but many still do not have any nursing facilities for young mothers.
Exactly the point. With smoking we are improving because now we are welcoming more of women. Those designated areas renders pregnant women safe in the workplace. However, those nursing facilities, daycares open at 7 o'clock, 7:30, industry start at 7, 7:30. You look in the retail sector, your banking sector, they start at 9 o'clock. It was designed for women. So it's time we now challenge the male-dominated industry to be not only accepting in terms of the treatment, the good treatment that we receive and the welcoming that we receive, but to say, is our environment shaped for women?
I quickly want to highlight last year's Women's Report, Equal Pay for Equal Value, by the South African Board for People's Practices. Now, it's telling us clearly that women in our country still earn 15% less on average for doing the same job as men. And it's not just uniquely a South African problem, it's a global phenomenon. Why do these discrepancies still persist?
It's the way we were brought up, the system we came into. I believe that it's not designed by anybody to be like that. It's by default, because as women, we get into the industry with our male counterparts, but a male is quick to negotiate his salary. And as women, naturally, we are servants, so we serve even at work. Being in leadership myself, I have women and men under me. I've never had a woman coming to me and say, Pindi, can we look at my salary? Males, they will challenge you. They naturally, they are competitive. They want to be better than everybody.
On that note, Pindi, how should women be negotiating their salaries? Like you've pointed out, many women still struggling on that point. If one is too forceful and assertive with employers, employees sometimes are turned off. And like you're saying, many women are rather coy about that. So is it really our socialization coming into play here?
It is socialization coming into play, but like I said, same as facilities, the industry needs to look at how do they change it to accept women. Now, in terms of salaries, I'm not even going to begin and advise women on how to negotiate their salaries or their wages. It has to be the industry that change. It has to be the industry that says we look at merit. You negotiate or you not, your merit will talk for you, because as women, we are performers.
Of course, there's something else I want to highlight quickly. The reality facing many women today is that many want to perhaps take a break and start a family, have a baby or two. And then often a woman is forced to return to the workplace for lesser pay. Why is choosing to have a child still seen as such an anomaly almost in the workplace? It doesn't mean that one loses your skills or capabilities because you want to have a baby or you've just had one.
I'm just going to have one in
Congratulations,
December.
I see that.
Yeah, it's one thing is you don't lose the skill. You come back to work roughly after 4 or 5 months, at most 6 months. You haven't lost anything. And I would say to women, if you feel disadvantaged, I mean, our industry and legislation allows us to challenge those the status quo. So you need to know who to talk to challenge such. From what I've seen based on my experience and what I see in industry is that the laws allow women to be on par. It's us who are still taking a step back and not coming to the fore.
Very quickly before I let you go, just a generation ago, we had such vibrant youth and women-led coordinated protests, robust enough to bring down an unjust regime. But today, our young women are not as fiery, not as passionate. There seems to be some kind of disconnect there. What should we be doing to reignite such engagement and interest at this level? And what are the attributes of a good leader? And if they're not there, how do we start building them?
To answer your first question in terms of the fiery youth that we don't see these days, we've seen the status changing when there was a hashtag fees must fall, led by women, led by youngsters. We see those talks still going on. I'm hoping that we can see more. But remember, the youth of between 94 and now had nothing to be concerned about other than to enjoy the democracy that we have. But as we go along, youth will be starting to waking up into saying, hang on, this is our time. This is the time to have to fight for what we have to get. But I would be happy to see the country not going that route, but engaging youth and making sure that youth is listened to before we even get to those talks. But women are in the forefront. Hashtag fees must fall.
Thank you, Pindile, for sharing your insight with us on the SABC News Desk. Pindile Mooketsi joining us this afternoon, leadership expert and author of Leadership Navigation.